But I also think that's changing because people are watching films from all over the world and realizing that there's no one kind of story. I also love the fact that today we're not aspiring to be one kind of woman in the world and therefore in cinema.
Recently, I watched two really interesting films. One was a Hindi film called Darlings with Alia Bhatt and Shefali, Shah in the lead. The second one was a Spanish film called Parallel Mothers with Penelope Cruz in the lead. Both the films had two women in the lead with really well-written characters, and both the films just seemed very emotional, very genuine. And after watching these two films, it really made me think that we have very few of these films. So hello and welcome back to the channel, everyone. In today's video, I want to share some of my favorite films about women, starring women, revolving around women. And I have around 25-30 films on my list. This will just be part one of that long list. But first, roll that intro. At number one is The Silence of the Lambs, the legendary psychological thriller directed by Jonathan Demme. When it released in 1991, this film won 5 Oscars. Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor. But the film is actually the journey of FBI agent Clarice Starling, played by Jodie Foster, who also won Best Actress that year. If you just look at the first frame of the film, there's a forest with a rope in the center. And then FBI agent Clarice appears with a sweatshirt and track pants, climbing up that rope as part of the physical training that she has to do every single day. This doesn't just foreshadow what is going to come in the story, but it also represents the role of a working woman, a minority in a male-dominated workplace who has to fight through every obstacle, every struggle, especially in a place like the FBI. And there are no excuses. You just have to show up every single day and you have to do the job you've been given, or you will be criticized and judged even more. Clarice's mission in the film is to hunt down a serial killer who literally skins his victims, his female victims. And she has to find this serial killer with the help of another imprisoned serial killer, Dr. Hannibal Lecter, a role that's been immortalized by Anthony Hopkins. But even in a situation like that, in front of a man who looks like this and is known for literally eating his victims, Clarice's character battles her inner fears and demons to just sit in front of him and convince him to help her out. That's the character's commitment and passion to her profession, that's her strength, and Jodie Foster as an actor just owns that role. Today, Silence of the Lambs is one of the greatest, one of the most influential films in cinema history, and you can see that influence in any of the thrillers that have come out after 1991. And in a way, maybe this film, this landmark film, is the reason why we even get to see women-led thriller films. At number 2 is Everything Everywhere All at Once, directed by the Daniels. What if you were living a regular, boring life doing regular day-to-day work, and one day, suddenly, you get access to all the different versions of your life, where you're a famous singer, or a martial artist, or where you have hot dog fingers, or where you're a rock. We've been seeing a lot of multiverse films in the recent past, in the last few years, but this film, it just eats up every other multiverse film and farts it away. Everything Everywhere All at Once is funny, it's emotional, entertaining, shocking, insane, unbelievable, whatever adjective you use to describe it. This film will surprise you once again and make you go searching across the multiverse for even more adjectives. Especially when you see the VFX of the film, it's so ridiculously fantastic that it just puts every other Marvel movie to shame. Because you won't believe this, just 9 people worked on the VFX of this film and none of them have been to any school to learn VFX. This is such an important film because apart from the cultural aspect that authentically captures a typical Asian family in America, it's really special because it has a woman, an older Asian woman played by Michelle Yeoh, at the center of the film, at the center of such a madcap sci-fi action adventure. And it's remarkable because such films almost never get made because they're believed to be non-bankable, especially in a country like ours. But the impact that this film has had across the world this year is like a tight slap that if you're really committed and if you put all of your conviction into the film that you want to make, the way you want to make it, it will connect with the audience. Another unbelievable film set in our own universe. At number 3 is Ruvi, directed by Arun Prabhu Purushothaman. For those who don't know what Ruvi means, it means waterfall in Tamil. And just like a waterfall, this film is a force of multiple genres, multiple emotions just raining down on you. And if you choose to get in, you can't just wet your feet. You're gonna get drenched. Ruvi opens with a spectacular sequence set to this beautiful track where you get to see a baby become a girl, becoming a young woman, and within the first 5 minutes, you're absolutely invested in her story, but in no way are you going to be prepared for whatever is going to come next. It's a coming of age story, it's a revenge drama, a hostage comedy, a socio-political commentary, and except the final over-the-top super emotional act, which I personally didn't like, everything else just magically works. When you watch Aditi Balan as Ruvi, which is supposed to be her first film by the way, you won't feel like you're watching a character. You'll feel like you're watching a real person, a girl that you probably know. This is also Arun Prabhu's first film, which is only visible because of all of the risks that he's taken in terms of the narrative that most experienced filmmakers will be scared of taking. Also, massive respect because he actually cast a trans person for the role of Emily, who plays Aruvi's friend. At number 4 is Offside, directed by Jafar Panahi. To understand who Jafar Panahi is, you have to check out this video that I made on Fully Filmy. It's right here in the description. You should go check him out to understand the mad genius that he is. One of the most controversial filmmakers in the world, mainly because of all of the rules that exist in his home country of Iran, especially after the Islamic revolution which happened in the country in the late 70s. One such super controversial film that he made is the 2006 film Offside, which follows a very simple story. A group of young girls who want to watch a football match have to enter the football stadium pretending and dressed to be men. Because in Iran, women are not allowed to watch football matches, among all of the other rules that they have. And no prizes for guessing. The film was also banned in Iran. The way Offside is shot is like most of Panahi's films. He uses handheld guerrilla style filmmaking, which makes you feel like you're right in the middle of the action, right in the middle of those young girls and the struggles they go through in that single day for a simple desire of theirs. There's the scene where one of the girls, she wants to use the toilet, but there are no women's toilets in the stadium. So she has to go to the men's toilet accompanied by a male soldier who helps in disguising her as a man to avoid any kind of issue. I really can't say whether cinema has the power to change the world in any way, but they definitely do have the power to invoke a little bit of empathy in us. The one thing that we need the most but is severely lacking in today's world. At number 5 is San Junipero, which is not a feature film that came out in the theaters, but it's one of the standalone episodes of the super popular anthology Black Mirror by Charlie Brooker. And when you watch it, you'll know that it's no less than a feature film. For those who are not Black Mirror fans, the show is an anthology series with each episode having a different story. And every story shows you a dark dystopian future which is closer than we think it is, and it's more real than we think it's going to be. And maybe that's why San Junipero is such a loved episode among the entire series, because it's such a huge departure from the dark tone of the series. It's actually a bittersweet love story about two women in a small seaside town called San Junipero, a shy introvert and a wild extrovert, and how they fall in and out of love over the course of time. Revealing anything more than this would be a crime, so you have to go and check it out. The entire vibe of the film is nostalgic because of the way it starts in the 80s, which reflects in the score, the cinematography, and the production design. It's one of the most visually stunning films that you'll ever see. Once you're done with this film, I'm sure you're going to sit back and relive what you just went through and also think to yourself, will something like this ever be possible? At number 6, Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always, written and directed by Eliza Hittman. Cinema means different things to different people, and to legendary filmmaker Martin Scorsese, cinema is human beings trying to convey emotional, psychological experiences to another human being. And this film is exactly that. It just shows a few days in the life of Autumn, a young teenage woman who gets pregnant and just wants to get an abortion. That's all there is to the story, and it's told in such a simple, stoic manner, devoid of any frills, devoid of any fancy shot taking, and full of silences. But it's this same silent, soft treatment that speaks volumes to us. Putting ourselves in her shoes, making us realize what a challenge it is to just be born as a woman. When I heard the title for the first time, Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always, I was like, what does that even mean? But when I watched the film during the second half, when I got the meaning of the title, it felt like someone punched me in my heart and my eyes automatically welled up. It's not a very easy film to watch because it'll definitely affect you for a very long time, but that is exactly why you have to watch it. Number 7 is Highway, by Imtiaz Ali. When Alia Bhatt debuted in Student of the Year, this was one of the reviews about her performance in The Hollywood Reporter. A washout. Not only is she inelegant in the dance numbers, but her expressions are limited and the digital retouching of her face throughout the film is a distraction. After that reaction to her first film, in her second film she returned as Veera, a young bride who gets abducted from a petrol bunk a day before her wedding. And after watching that performance, I'd love to see that same reporter's review. I personally was absolutely stunned seeing her transformation from a privileged star kid to a living, breathing character. You laugh with her, you cry with her, you feel her fear, at the same time you feel the breeze as she takes it all in on the top of a Haryana truck. You smell the trees as she walks along the hills, and by the time she returns home in the end, when she returns to her privilege, you feel your throat and your insides just getting choked with claustrophobia, just like she does, and you ask yourself, what is freedom? Okay, let's end this list on a slightly light note. At number 8 is The Intern, directed by Nancy Meyers. Right from The Princess Diaries to Devil Wears Prada, another great movie by the way, Anne Hathaway has been the poster child of rom-coms and chick flicks, a term which she absolutely hates with good reason. The Intern is another addition to the list which is predictable, has certain cliches, but it has a warmer, sweeter heart and a more smarter, mature mind. She plays a successful entrepreneur who runs a fashion startup, trying to manage her personal and professional life, juggling many roles and wearing many different hats. And to make her life slightly easier, enters a new intern who is more than 70 years old. It's such a refreshing sight to see a charming Robert De Niro be buddies with Anne Hathaway instead of the usual romantic interest angle that we get to see in so many other of her films and generally so many other rom-coms. And I really can't wait to see Deepika Padukone and Amitabh Bachchan repeat their Piku magic in the Hindi remake of The Intern. I really hope that film is still happening. That was my list of the 8 best films about women, part 1. Tell me your favorite film about women that you think I should talk about in the coming episodes. And if you enjoyed the content, hit the like button. It helps spread this video to more and more people. Hit subscribe because I put out a new video every Friday. But for now, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you next Friday.